Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to have the listening lesson, Unit 6, learning from literature. First of all, do you know what do you mean by the word literature? Literature means, this is what we call novel, poetry, okay? الأدب. So today we are going to talk about one of the most famous writer. This writer, we can say that he was a novelist as well as a poet. He was a novelist as well as a poet. This person is Robert Louis Stevenson. This person was not well. What happened? He was living in a place which was very cold. So he couldn't bear the cold of the place, so he left it and went to another place. In fact, at the beginning, his father wanted him to be what? To be a lawyer. His father wanted to be a lawyer. Later, he changed his mind and decided to become a writer. He wrote both of them. One of the most famous novel for him, Kidnap, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Did you know about this famous story? It is made into a film. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I recommend you to read this story or to watch the film, one of the most interesting one. Before we start, let's have the listening lesson. Before we listen to this topic, please, I want you to write the questions. Read the questions, please. You have to read the question before you start. Number 1, page 64, listening. Okay. Question 1, what are the class going to study? This is number 1. Number 2, did Nisma read Treasure Island? What is a Treasure Island? Treasure Island is one of the most famous and successful novel written by our novelist. What kind of books does Wafa like to read? This is what we are going to answer. Why did Robert Louis Stevenson like to travel? Because he was afraid of the cold weather. Because he didn't like the cold weather. Okay, what did everyone in the Stevenson family like doing? All of them like to do something that we are going to listen, and then you are going to write it in your tablet, and I want to read to you answer. Let's start.
New Hello, Secondary 1, Year 1, by Sarah Curtis and Claire Hart.
Literature comes in a variety of forms. Poetry, novels, travel books, and biographies are just a few. Reading literature from different times helps us learn about the world we live in, about important modern issues, and about how much society has changed. When you read any piece of literature, it's helpful to consider your own opinion, why you like or dislike a particular character, or whether you have experienced something similar to what you've read in a poem. Discussing this with your friends can also help you learn more about each other and the world around you.
Exercise 1. Listen to a teacher talking to her students about Robert Louis Stevenson and answer the questions.
This week we're studying the Scottish writer Robert Louis Stevenson, in particular his poetry, not his novels. Have any of you heard about him or read any of his work?
Didn't he write Treasure Island? I tried reading it last year, but it was a bit boring.
decided to watch the film instead. Did you like it?
Yes, it was really good. I love adventure films, and I enjoy reading adventure stories too. I just found Treasure Island a bit difficult.
Well, it was written a long time ago. He was born in 1850, and Treasure Island was published in 1881. And Wafa, have you read any of his books?
I don't think so. I prefer reading romantic stories and poems.
Well, Stevenson wrote poems too. In fact, he wrote all kinds of things. He began writing stories when he was a child and unwell. Unfortunately, Stevenson was often very ill, and he finished writing Treasure Island while he was ill in bed. He continued to write more books, including a collection of poems called A Child's Garden of Verses, and he also travelled a lot to get away from the cold Scottish weather.
Where did he go?
As a young man, he went to Europe, France and Switzerland mainly. In fact, his first book was about his travels in France. He and his family loved sailing. They wanted to sail from America, where they were living, to the South Pacific. The family chose to build a house in Samoa, and the Stevenson family lived there until he died in 1894. Now, for this week's lesson, I want you to choose a story or poem by Stevenson and bring it to class to discuss. Then I will...
Exercise 6.
Before we start,
Listen to Nesma and
before
Wafa
answering this,
discussing their
before
project.
answering this, please. Before
I
answering
don't
this,
have time to go to the school library this afternoon. Could you do me a favour and go?
already 4 questions. You have already listened to the topic about our great writer, it was Louis Stevenson. By the way, his books, some of his famous books, Treasure Island, some of the students said that it is a boring one. And he wrote also adventure story, Kidnapped, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which made them into a film. Okay, you as a student, what kind of stories do you like to read? Do you have kind of yes?
I like to read adventure stories.
Adventure stories. What else? Huh?
Adventure stories and mystery.
Mystery, you like it? What else?
Romantic stories.
Romantic story, thank you. Huh? Hannah. Hannah. Yes? Romantic. All of you like. What about action films and adventure? Yes, Hannah.
Horror stories.
All you? Horror. Yeah, I like scary stories and horror stories. Okay, I like it. This is your opinion. Now, what I want to say here that we have biography. What do you mean by the word biography? سيرة ذاتية. خلاص autobiography سيرة ذاتية, but you write it about yourself. We have gardener. The gardener, it is a job. It is the job of a person who works in the garden. We have many kinds of jobs. So I want you to give me more ideas about the job. Okay, I can change any verb into a noun by adding a, for example, مثلا any noun. Science. Can you change it to a noun? Who works in science? Scientist. Sail. Huh? Sailor. Act. Write. Play. Gardener. What else? We have. Remind me. Play player. Teacher. Thank you. Okay, and so on. So we can give the name of the job by adding 3 words. Number 1, 3 letters, 3 ways. Either IST or before the E. Oh. Okay, now I want you to give you answers about the previous text. Who can answer number 1? If you answered, please, I want to have a look at what you have already written. Okay, you didn't answer. Okay? Time, okay. Did Nisma read The Treasured Island? Yes or no?
Yes.
No. It is difficult and boring. No, yes. No, she wanted the film. She wanted the film. So please, can you remove your answer? By adding Lumena. Hana Habibti. Bravo. No, Samia, bravo. No. لا quickly. Habibti. No, she wanted, bravo. She wanted to watch the film. She wanted to watch the film. No, okay. It has been. طيب, who wanted to answer number C? Who can, yes, sir, Mike? Read the question, please, and give me the answer. Yes? Yes? Thank you very much. She preferred reading romantic stories. She preferred reading romantic stories. Did you write the answer? Thank you. Romantic story. She preferred. Thank you. Yes, it is very شوية. أنا عايزة أشوف القمر ده. preferred block. شطور. مقيم. Use the pencil. مش المفروض نستخدم البنسل الأول. بعدين إيه؟ Yalla, who is going to answer number 4? Number 4. Why did Robert Louis Stevenson like travel? He wanted to escape from what? I want to hear your answer, Hannah. Yes, he wanted to escape from the cold weather. Out to get away from the cold weather. Did you write it? Did you write it? He wanted to get away from the cold weather. He wanted to get away from the cold weather. He wanted to get away. أميرة حبيبتي طمنيني. شطورة يا حبيبتي. كلمت. نعم. To get away from the cold weather. لما مسكت الفونت عادي. Very good. Have you finished writing? Okay, the last question is, who is going to read it? Who is going to read the last question and give me the answer? Jumana, Amira, Kenzie. Yalla, who can answer the last one? What did everyone? They all loved the E. Sailing. They all loved sailing. They all, he was affected by his environment, by the way. They all loved sailing. They all loved sailing. عمر حبيبتي كده وبسرعه. برافو. لا. وانس انك انت كتبتي حته هي هتلاقيها في برضه انت خالص. يعني خلي بالك من الحاجه دي. انت الله اكبر. حبيبتي بس زمان بقى كنت خلاص. الله برافو. خلاص انتوا مش محتاجيني تاني في التابلت، انتوا زي الورق. Now, the second part of this now we have another part اسمها for listening. It will be listening to Nisma and Wafa discussing what? Their project. Nisma and Wafa are discussing their project. Please listen and then you are going to answer the other 3 questions. It will be page 65. خلاص? Listen to Nisma and Wafa discussing their project. What does Wafa ask Nisma to do? Here Wafa, it is given to you for you to give it 65. You get it? 65 يا ولاد. Did you get it؟ اهو نفس كمان عندك على الشاشه. طب what does ها حبيبتي خلاص 65 برافو 65 كلنا جمال والله حبايبي. اوكي what does وفاء ask نسمة to do؟ She asked her to go to the library for her. The second question, this is you are going to answer, is her request formal or informal? If you are going to do, we have a request. يعني request ها طيب we have two kinds. If I'm going to talk to Miss ا.سحر, are you going to deal with her formal or informal? Formal. If you are going to ask something from your mother, are you going to ask her formal or informal? الله جميل. لا مامي بقى informal. مامي بقى قوم يا جميل كده سخن لنا شويه حاجات كده وعشينا هتبقى informal. كلمة مامي فورمال ماشية ماشية بتتكلم يستحدي فورمال بس عليك يعني. Okay, what does نسمة want وفاء to get for her? She wanted to give, this is what I want to hear from you. Please listen. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Could you do something for me when you're
This afternoon, could you do me a...
I want you to choose a story or poem by Stevenson and bring it to class to discuss. Then I want...
The new bad lesson. Nesma and her friend.
Exercise 6.
Nesma and Wafa.
Listen to Nesma and Wafa discussing their project.
I don't have time to go to the school library this afternoon. Could you do me a favour and go for me?
Yes, of course. Which books do you want me to get?
Can you find A Child's Garden of Verses? I prefer reading poetry to long stories.
No problem. But could you do something for me when you're in town, please?
Yes. What is it?
I know you were going to pick up your mum's phone from the repair shop. That's next door to the DVD shop. Can you get me a DVD of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, please? Watching the DVD will be quicker than reading it.
Nesma?
Exercise 7. Listen again. Tick the phrases.
Okay. These are two friends. One of them asked the other to get her something. So, is her request formal or informal? It is informal because she is her friend or her colleague. Because she is her friend or colleague. So the right answer it will be informal. Or you are going to write it is informal. Informal because they are friends or they are colleagues. Have you finished? حبيبتي خلاص؟ رقية مش واخدة بالي منك. شاطرة حبيبتي، انت مش شغال لسه مش شغال معاكي. What does Nisma want وفاء to get for her? A DVD. She wanted her to get her a DVD of me, of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. To get her a DVD of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and this is another story written by our writer for this topic. DVD of Dr. Jekyll and البهكلي كانت جميلة، البرزنتيشن دي مهمة برضه. اسمها DVD. Dr. Jekyll على فكرة أنا قريت Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One of the most famous films, but it is an old one. Did you write it? Jekyll. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I wrote it on the board. Okay? The last piece of listening. Have you finished? Did you write it? Okay. I want to listen and have a look. responding to requests that you hear. But write if the phrase for the responding to requests above are informal, so we are going to use the letter I, or and if the phrases are formal. Either if I or if. I for informal or if for formal. Let's start.
For responding to requests that you hear.
I don't have time to go to the school library this afternoon. Could you do me a favour and go for me?
Yes, of course. Which books do you want me to get?
Can you find A Child's Garden of Verses? I prefer reading poetry to long stories.
No problem. But could you do something for me when you're in town, please?
Yes. What is it?
I know you're going to pick up your mum's phone from the repair shop. That's next door to the DVD shop. Can you get me a DVD of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, please? Watching the DVD will be quicker than reading it.
Nesma!
Okay, now let's answer this type of question. The last one. I asked you to tell me what kind of request did she ask? What is my responding to the request? Certainly. It is given to us and it is false. No, she didn't say this. Yes, what is it? True, and it is a responding. No problem. True, bravo. Formal or informal? Informal. Yes. No, I am afraid I can't. False. And she didn't say it like this. She didn't say anything like this. Yes, of course.
Yes, true.
True, and we can say that this is formal. Formal. Yes, of course. So you can use it. Yes, of course, miss. Okay, that is all for the lesson, our lesson بالنسبة للlistening text, and we used the tab as well. Now, please, I want you to open page. أطمع ولا that's enough? Okay, عشان يعني it is a good idea to have the book together. Okay. Open page. Please open page 134. 134. I will give you 2 minutes to choose the correct word to complete the sentence. Practice test 2. Page 134. Okay, now try to
With you. I'm so proud of you, Allah. I'm so proud that you can use your tablet and be ready for the final exam or for the mid-year exam.
By
You
the
will
way,
use only your tablet. So while you are practicing now, you will be very, very good by the end of the term. Thank you, Mrs. Sahar. Wallahi.